Welcome back. SABMiller is getting cozier with Coke, and it says the deal is good for Africa. It was announced yesterday that the world's second largest brewer will tie up with the holder of a Coca-Cola bottling company and Coca-Cola itself and combine bottling operations in southern and eastern Africa. The new entity will generate nearly $3 billion in revenue across 12 African countries. The new company, Coca Cola Beverages Africa, will be headquartered in South Africa. According to the companies, it will be the biggest bottler of soft drinks across the continent and the 10th largest in the world. Coca Cola Beverages Africa will be majority owned by SABMiller. Almost a third will be owned by GFI, which owns bottler Coca Cola Sabco. Another 11% will be owned by the Coca-Cola company itself. We couldn't show you this yesterday because of Parliament, but I did speak to the MD of SABMiller Africa, Mark Baumann. I started by asking if this means that SABMiller can now share in Coca-Cola's growth across Africa.
We've been a Coke bottler for many, many years. We have recognized that perhaps we needed to change the relationship that we had with Coke to a more strategic one, to actually pick a much more deliberate approach to the development of soft drinks in Africa. So over the last 2 years we've been doing that, and the opportunity has now arisen to develop a much stronger growth trajectory for Coca-Cola in Africa through this much larger business. So it'll be a focused business, focused only on Coca-Cola, with a separate board, a merger of equals. I mean, we are largest by the scale that we've contributed, and we'll control the business ultimately. But we're bringing together Coke, who will be a shareholder, and obviously the Gucci family through GFI, who've built a significant business in East Africa.
Are the growth prospects similar, or is there any fear here that soft drinks are outpacing or going to outpace alcohol across the continent?
Well, not really. You know, I think what we've had is a good run on soft drinks in Africa over the last few years with some more focus. But they are slightly different occasions. Beer is much more an occasion-based drink, whereas soft drink is much more an impulse purchase. So soft drinks relies heavily on very good distribution across a much broader footprint than we typically do with beer. And what we see is the focus on soft drinks is driving more opportunity. But we would expect over time these businesses to both grow at rates above at least GDP growth in Africa, and that in itself provides, frankly, a significant growth opportunity.
Okay, so this is a big consolidation which has apparently happened already in other parts of the world. But I'd like to know from you, should we welcome it? Because there is a bit of a history. Coke at one stage being accused of exploiting bottlers, then it started buying up bottlers. So now the fortunes are tied. But surely this has the potential to wipe out small bottlers across the continent.
Well, it shouldn't affect any other bottler, because every bottler obviously has its own territory, and there's no reason why that wouldn't continue. But the natural tide of things...
So you're saying competition won't be changed by this?
No, because the bottlers don't compete with each other. So an independent small bottler can continue on its own, and in fact this enterprise would not in any way affect those markets. So what we're taking is existing territories and actually aggregating them, but in South Africa we'll still have an independent bottler that will continue to operate. It would be their choice over time whether they saw a merit in joining this. But what you would have is, with the scale of this operation, just the ability to invest significantly. And I think from our perspective, the one dynamic that will change is that this is very pro-consumer. We believe that as a result of the scale that we will have, we will drive our own competitive business model much more aggressively than we would have been able to do if we were small independent bottlers. So the scale that will come, the investment that we're proposing to make in developing this business, I think will be very pro-consumer ultimately. So it will make more Coke products or more soft drinks available to more people at reasonable prices.
I have to ask one more question, because you're saying big business is good. But Coke, again, plants have been shut down because of allegations in India that too much water is being used in the operations. Just tell me, should we be welcoming big business rather than encouraging more of the SMMEs?
Well, I think this does a little bit of both. So let's say plants are significant investments, And bottlers are under pressure, obviously, to lift their performance in terms of how much water we use when we do it, the sustainability of the operation. So a scale plant is much more able to do that. So significant investment in managing the complete environment of a facility, and large-scale operations are much more efficient. That doesn't mean the existing operations that are more subscale won't continue. We need them in those areas. But what we will do as part of this, and particularly in South Africa, is develop numerous SMEs in terms of what we call market logistics partners. So we've developed a model where small independent distributors are created actually as sub-distributors in very localized areas. We have created significant numbers of these in ABI already, and we'll expand that across the South African territory and indeed in Africa. And also we will create jobs through the expansion of our sales model. So we actually think this is very pro-small business in the sense that our model naturally works with that. We're very localized. So the back end of our business will become more efficient, but the market reach requires us to collaborate much more effectively with smaller businesses.
All right. SABMiller, apparently advised by Rothschild, was Trevor Manuel at all involved?
No, he wasn't.
Wondering
as far
if
as I
this
know.
is his first job. Does this change anything? You wanted Heineken. Is this big enough to sort of make up for that disappointment?
No, I'm not sure this has any bearing on that. I think the model that we follow is that we are very open to mergers, acquisitions. In fact, the African business that I run is very much built up on partnerships and relationships, very similar to this one. So we always expect to have local shareholders or different shareholders and try and run a business that works well because we believe that's the way that it works in Africa. So this is, let's say by SABMiller standards, a significant transaction and is one of others that we would look at into the future. We don't trade off whether we've done one with the other. If many arrived at the same time, I'm sure we would have a look at them.
Separately then, is SABMiller thinking about the reports that it's being eyed by Anheuser-Busch?
Yeah, we can't really comment on that. That would be for them to consider. What our role is, I suppose, as the leadership and management of the company is to perform as well as we can, to justify the share price and the performance and keep our shareholders happy.
The MD of SABMiller Africa, Mark Baumann. Business must invest more in the information, communication and technology sector. That's the way forward, urged by the Minister for Telecommunications.